Hey, y'all. Welcome to episode 211 of Consignment Chats. Y'all, today we're going to talk about Libby. No, just kidding. All right, Libby, I am putting you on the spot because 13 years you have been in the reselling slash consignment business. You're in your 13th year.
Mhm.
And I just want to know, what would you do differently?
How much time do we have?
What would
Because
you
there's
think? All right,
so
so I
much.
kinda tried, because I feel like you are such a wealth of knowledge in this business. Um, I like to pipe in and give a little of mine every now and then, but most of mine comes from working side by side with you anyway. But I'll chime in, but I really wanna take this episode, we do not have Samantha today, she's under the weather, so I thought we would focus it on Conchi consignment business, using you as a leader, a educator, somebody with so much knowledge in this industry, and I'm gonna pick your brain.
Oh, this is
You
a lot of pressure here.
I know, because you don't even know what questions I've written down.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So what I want to do is I really want this episode to help people that are in it and maybe at a point where they're banging their heads against a wall, but I also want to help people that are thinking about getting into it because we've mentioned on previous episodes, if this is your first episode, first of all, welcome. If you love us, make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up. But um, I want you to give that knowledge for somebody who might be thinking about getting into it, because what they don't know about you, if they're new, is that you started as a brick and mortar, went into a hybrid business, brick and mortar and online, and now are fully online.
Mhm.
So y'all done it all, every part of it.
Yeah.
So I think we should start with the beginning. That's where I think we should start. Like, what inspired you in to get into this business? What was your why on this? Hey, y'all. Welcome to Consignment Chats. This is Molly, and I'll be joined by my co hosts, Libby and Samantha.
So that my why is really, really simple. I was working in a bank at the time in the mortgage industry. Yeah, I didn't see my kids that much. It was hard. It was long hours. It was emotionally, mentally draining. And I didn't feel good about what I was contributing to society. And so I thought, you know what? I want to feel good about something I'm doing. I don't want to feel limited by a corporation or limited by, my employer as to what I could do or different things I could explore. So, and I want to feel good about the world I'm leaving for my kids. So that's my why. That's super simple.
Super simple, yet so meaningful.
Yeah.
So meaningful. All
You know
right.
what the
So
fun part of this is going to be?
what?
I have made so many mistakes along the way and so many big ones
That's
because I am somebody that has to learn the hard way. Like you can tell me and tell me and tell me until you're blue in the face, but gosh darn it, if I'm not going to try it and find out for myself. So that's what's going to be most fun about this.
Do I need to DNA test you and my son? Because he's wired the same exact way. Like, do you really have to learn it all the hard way? Can you sometimes just not take the advice?
The irony of me giving this is that and saying these things is probably that I wouldn't take the advice from somebody else.
Right.
So I don't know.
But we're gonna feed it to you in hopes that maybe you're wired a little differently and you won't have these issues. But yeah, that's what I was thinking would be fun. I mean, maybe I think it's fun to go through and talk about those mistakes, and maybe it will
Yeah.
stop somebody else from making them, or they're gonna go full speed ahead and make them and go, "Oh, yeah, she told me so. She told me so."
Yeah.
Right? Either way. So I wanna start with the storefront because that is where you started. Um, let's talk about that. Let's talk about opening the storefront. Let's talk about what that was like.
It was pretty intense. And I'm going to start off like right up front with the biggest mistake. Oh God, so many
Yeah,
mistakes.
just go
All
for
right.
it.
two of the biggest mistakes I made
Okay.
is that I thought I had to have an online or the brick and mortar store to be legitimate. I had no idea I could run an online business, which probably would have been more suited to my family and my needs at the time. I had no idea. And this is going years into the brick and mortar. I was in there like 3 years total, but like even on the third year and transitioning to like all online, I felt as though I wasn't a legitimate business owner.
Right? I mean, you left the storefront with the whole mindset that you were gonna
Mhm.
buy a space and get back
Yeah.
into storefront.
Yeah, because that was how I felt that I was actually like a legitimate business owner. And some of that was due to, my mindset. And some of it was due to things that people said it was definitely a struggle to be seen as a real legitimate business when you're doing things online, especially, out of your home. It was,
Yeah.
it was a real thing, real struggle.
And I have to tell you, Libby, I remember you going through that transition process because I had already moved here to North Carolina, but we were pre-podcasting and YouTubing back then. We just weren't officially filming it, but we would have coffee every morning and talk about our woes and our successes. And so we went through all this every day. And I just remember you going through that and going through that mindset. And one of the things that impressed me was when you finally got to the mindset and used it with your consigners and customers that I am still 100% a legitimate business. I am still doing exactly what I did before, just in a different space. And
Hmm.
it one thing that I learned from you through all of that, and I've said it many times in our Patreon meetings and to other people when they're talking about, making their agreement with their consigners or whatever part aspect of their business is, it is all about how you project yourself, the confidence you
Exactly.
have in who you are. People are going to believe in you. And that is exactly what you did. Whatever it was that triggered you or got you in that space was, I think, what made it successful in the transition, because you did get people questioning your
Hmm.
transition, and you did
Hmm.
get a lot of people, who were faltering or worried about, what were you going to be legit like this? Were you? And you handled it with such confidence and professionalism, the way you spoke with them and dealt with them the whole way through that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
It all worked out, but it was my mindset. It was just the way I was projecting myself. And like
yeah,
because I was insecure about it, not realizing I could, even at the point that I was an all online business, I had still, I don't even know if you probably know this, but I bought a property to a commercial property so that I had that safety. Like I could still be a legitimate business. It,
right.
it wasn't built on or anything. It was just a parcel, but because I felt like I needed that.
Yeah,
And I'm so happy that I didn't. And I'm so happy that, I stuck it out and did that. So that was a huge mistake right
yeah,
there.
yeah. You said you had 2. What was the other? Did you
The
forget it and
other
all that?
The other was not finding a supportive community, right? Like I did this solo. I didn't know. I had one person who lived 3 hours from me that had a consignment store that kind of helped me a little bit, but it was, she was busy doing her thing, like very minimal kind of help. Did as much as she's amazing, amazing
Right.
woman, but it was flying solo, like, by the seat of my pants the whole way, like, not having any idea, not being able to, which in some ways is kind of, you don't have any limitations you're putting on yourself because you don't know what you don't know, so you're
Right.
not
Right.
you're not worried about that kind of thing, but in retrospect, it would have been amazing to have a community of sellers, of resellers, thrift store owner, whatever, consignment store owners to kind of bounce ideas off of. Because what ended up happening, and this is huge, is I listened to anybody's advice.
Yeah.
And not saying that I took all of the advice, but I listened to it and I took it in because that was all I was getting. I was doing this on my own. It was very overwhelming. The business grew incredibly quickly, too quickly. I didn't know how to navigate that. And yeah, so I mean, that was really mistake number 2, is not having a support system for that.
Wow. I for in my mind, that wasn't something that was gonna come up, and that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I mean, you had support with friends and family, but not industry support, not knowledgeable industry. Yeah.
No,
That's
like
a
think
good
about that for a second. Like I'm trying to navigate like security systems, issues with my landlady, uh, legal and tax issues with consignment,
yeah,
dealing with customer. Like it was
yeah,
just a lot, and not having a single person that really understood the business in my life to say, "Hey, and just be able to give me a quick answer."
right.
No, I had to flip and figure that out. Not having an accountant that was familiar with consignment and really just yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I forget about that because now we
Mhm.
have all those resources, right? Like, we've built a
Yeah.
community. We have put together a community with all those resources in there, but, yeah, we started out, which is, I guess, what made us realize how important creating consignment chats was in order to have a community out there that people could lean on, but ooh, I wasn't expecting that. Okay,
Yeah.
so in that conversation about the not knowing and the not having that community, one of the things I wanted to talk about, because I know this topic comes up so often, is your inventory intake process. Oh, I wanna talk about the ever-changing process that we went through of inventory and how we were gonna take it in
Oh,
and process it and store it. I mean,
oh my
y'all.
goodness gracious. Where do I even begin?
And I'd like you to answer that in 3 sentences or
We did it all, like all the different consignment percentages, contracts, computer systems, intake methods, appointments, walk-ins, buyout right, consignment, vendors, like,
Yep, we had artists that rented
mhm,
space in the store. Yeah,
mhm.
we did it all. What so on that topic, what advice would you give to somebody new on what you learned about intake process? Let's
One
start
of
with
my
that.
favorite
Let's
things, and we've all learned this lesson, everybody that worked in the store learned this lesson, and they had to learn it for themselves, and they had to learn it independently. You know what I'm gonna say. You
oof.
gotta be strong, and you can't do anyone a favor
Mm-mm.
because you will get burned
Mhm,
bad.
mhm, mhm.
And we all learned this on separate occasions with separate
And y'all,
consigners.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if they're an 82-year-old sweet little grandma-like woman
Mhm,
who comes in, you still can't do the favor, trust me. I have PTSD from one of them.
mhm, mhm.
You really have to stick to your guns. You are right. You are
Yeah,
correct.
you have to be really confident, and you have to understand that people want what they can't have. Somebody comes in, like this was a common scenario that somebody would come in and they would have, like, let's say a garbage bag full of clothes.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden their problem was my problem, right?
Yeah.
And that was a bad way to like what we ended up doing, and this worked very well, but it took a while to get there, was to just be like, no, you need to make an appointment. We're booked about 4 weeks out. I forget what the time frame was. I
Right.
think it was about you generally about 3 to 4 weeks. We're booked, would you like to make an appointment? And just respect your time and be very, very adamant about it, and don't make exceptions, because the second you make that exception, all
Yeah.
heck breaks loose. Yeah.
Yeah, when Libby says, I mean, we literally tried it in every way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Just the people walking in, then we tried to do we did the appointments, and then we thought we'd add like a Sunday afternoon. Just come on in, no appointment necessary. Bring 20 of your best items, and we did so many different ways. And I mean, we've heard Samantha talk about this too. That's her most successful is having that appointment calendar on your schedule. You figure out when drop-offs work best for you. And like you said, everybody wants what they can't have. If there's a 4 to 6 week wait time, that just makes what you do, it just makes people want it that much more,
Mhm.
because that's giving you the credibility you were talking about. That
Yeah.
there's your business creds right there. Sorry, but we're 2 weeks out, we're 2 months out on appointments. So just go ahead and schedule and, you know,
You know what the most controversial thing is? And we still get people that are like, "You what?" You need to figure out what you're doing with your expired items and your expired inventory. I don't care whether you're online, I don't care whether you're in a brick and mortar. This can be, oh, we have an episode on this I will link up, but such a pain point. At one point, our back room was, and it was a decent sized
well,
back room, overflowing, filled with stuff because we let people choose. Do you want to pick up or would you like to
donate.
donate?
Yeah.
And most people would say pick up, but guess what? They never picked up. And then what do you
Well,
do? Like, it was just a
we would have
nightmare.
boxes on top of boxes on top, and then you would go back there and somebody would come to pick up. And of course, we had our system of organization, but you'd have
Mhm.
to move 7 boxes to get to theirs. And then my favorite is they would come and they'd try to go through the box at the counter and go, "Well, I really just wanted this or
Right.
this, but you can keep the rest." They wanted to cherry pick their items out of there and not take all of it. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
rough. And then my favorite was the ones that would come 6 months later, "I'm here to pick up my stuff."
Mhm.
Like, "Really? Really? You
Yeah.
are? Really? 6 months later?" Yeah.
I think
So
if we had just from the beginning and what we do now, this is the controversial part, is anything that doesn't sell becomes our inventory. That's just the way it is. I mean, there are high-end items, exceptions for that. I'm talking like bread and butter every day, like under
yeah.
$100 items, even under $50 items. There's exceptions for that kind of stuff, but
Yeah,
the
and for
rest
this
of it,
item, there's a
mm-mm.
lot of different exceptions. If somebody comes to me with a Louis and says, I wanna, consign my Louis," I am absolutely gonna take that beautiful Louis Vuitton, and if I don't buy it for myself, I'm gonna put it in consignment. But there's so many things you do differently for those kind of items that
Right.
they may have an extended period of sell time. They may not
Mhm.
be a 3 month or a 6 month, whatever your consignment period is. You might extend that for those type of items. Some items we make exceptions for,
Mhm.
but in that and in the pick up and donate, there's exceptions to be made, but having that agreement and sticking to it.
Right. Know in advance. I don't care. Brick and mortar, online, have a super solid plan for what is going to happen at the end of that consignment period. And yes, this is the one thing I do not, I think is black and white. I don't care what anybody says. It's not gray. You need an expiration time.
You need an
That's
expiration
probably the
date.
only thing I take a really hard line on is that point.
And I think picking if you're gonna be a big business, allowing people to pick up, it's a nightmare to keep up with. I
Mm.
mean, we've seen it in all different ways where people have let their consigners come in and they pull their items off the floor, and then
Mhm.
but then they've gotta come out of inventory. I mean, there's so many different ways people have tried, but in reality, I think the clearest and best way, and I'm gonna how I like to put a sentence inside of a sentence because that's just how I talk. When you told me you were doing this and not allowing the pickup and that things would be donate or become store inventory, I cringed. I
Mhm.
was like, "What? What? That just doesn't are you serious?"
Mhm.
And y'all, it works. People don't mind. And this is what I've said in multiple episodes when we talk about this. Why do they not mind? Because they trust you, Libby. They trust Conchi Consignment and the brand that you've developed, and they know that you are doing everything in your power to sell that item in that consignment period. If it doesn't sell, then it didn't sell, but they know because they follow you on social media, they pay attention to what you
Mhm.
do. They know that you have done everything in your power. So you've built that trust and those wonderful relationships with them that nobody complains.
Nobody complains. And if somebody isn't sure, let's say they're new, they don't know me, I don't know them. I always say to them, like, if you're a little bit uncomfortable and you're not sure if you want to try this out, you can say, well, why don't we just start with, one set of, why don't you start with a couple pair of shoes, and you'll see how you like the process, and you'll see how you like working with us, and, start that way.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah.
Baby steps.
But we still get a lot when we go on other people's podcasts and we tell them that is our how we do consignment, that it becomes our inventory after so many days. Their jaws almost always hit the floor.
They what?
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 Yeah, that's the way it rolls.
All right. I'm going to move on because we could talk about this forever, and we have talked about it multiple times. I want to talk about your pricing strategy. Has anything changed from when you started to where you are now with your pricing strategy?
Our pricing strategy was, I think it's always been based on market value. Like we always used, before it was Terapeak product, eBay's product research. We've used sold comps. I think we've always done that. But the one thing that you can do to kind of speed things along is to just have in your head, like, okay, all Talbot's, sweaters are, $34, and just have like a general thing. But I have to say, the one thing that separated us from the chains stores, why people wouldn't go to is because they would have a really rigid price list. So instead of checking like all Coach bags, they would pay out what, $15 or $19 for.
Right.
It didn't matter whether the bag was worth, $300 or whether it was worth, $50.
Right.
It didn't matter. So, even within brands, you have to decide like which brands you're going to research, like with brands that have really variable pricing.
And I'll throw this out there too.
Yeah.
For people that maybe feel overwhelmed if they're looking at this and get frustrated or worried about pricing, if you come up with that basic strategy, especially if you have employees, Libby, when we went to that in the storefront and kind of came up with, all, high-end jeans are $49, all lower end jeans are $29. And we kind of structured that. It helped so much with having other employees that would come in and do the pricing for us. It gave consistency. But know that over time, if you're new to this, over time, you're going to get this. Like even you were talking about Talbots, I think it was you just used as an example. All Talbot sweaters, $34. But then that Talbot sweater might come in that is just extra special cashmere. You're going to know, wait a minute. Let me quick look this up. You're going to know that this is something, or it's a particular style. Right now, wide leg jeans are the bomb. Like I wouldn't typically go out and source Old Navy jeans right now, but if I saw a really cool pair of wide leg or barrel leg jeans somewhere where I was sourcing, you're darn straight I'd pick them up right now because they're all the rage. You will know that as you grow. So don't get
that takes time.
Yeah, it takes time, and you'll just know when you see something, oh, wait a minute, I need to look this one up. But having a general structure really helps because, and we learned that the hard way, right? We would have a customer come up and go, why is this Old Navy jean 19 and this one 24? And the only thing I can tell you is because this person brought this one in on consignment and this person brought this one in and priced it. Like I had I'm sorry, but just a different person did the pricing on those items. Like there was no rhyme or reason on the basics. So if you can come up with a type of structure like that, it will definitely help you for sure. But yeah, you learn. So don't get frustrated. You learn.
And that takes time. And guess what? Those price things change all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Yeah.
What's hot then? I mean, you couldn't sell wide leg jeans 5 years ago. They were the hard thing, and skinny jeans were all the rage. And now we flipped. I don't source skinny jeans. If somebody consigns skinny jeans with me right now, yeah, I'd take them, but they wouldn't get priced the same as a wide leg jean would right now. So you learn. You will learn. And
you need to do a whole episode on pricing because you've got this, girl.
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just, you learn and you just see things. And Nick always laughs, and he says that he tells his friends at work when he goes to the other job, when he's not Mr. C Chats, but he's Mr. Banker. Now I say, I don't know what it is about her, but we'll be at an estate sale and she'll just point to something and go, "Ooh, that's a good one." And I'll be like, "No, no, 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 that's not a good one." And she'll go, "Just can you just grab it and look it up?" He goes, "Sure enough." I get home and I go look, and she's showing me comps and it's like $120 item. And I'm like, I thought it was junk. But it's just experience. It's over time. It's learning. You know what it is for me besides hands-on experience in the store with you? It's it's that community of other resellers that you were talking about in the very beginning. It's that support system that we've built, and I have learned so much from other people in the
Mhm.
industry through their YouTube videos, through being with them in person, through them being in our Patreon meetings, just talking. I mean, I have learned about product that I would not have looked at 3 years ago. And that's again another one of those important things that you were saying right out of the gate.
Yep.
You learn from others. So,
I mean, I shudder to think if I hadn't or if we hadn't developed the C Chats community, where I would be right now.
right, right. Me
Yeah,
too.
it would
Me too.
I don't I can't even wrap my head around it, but
I feel like I
I
could
know
be
it wouldn't be
playing
what I have now.
piano music in the background right now. RC Chats community. Where would we be without them?
I just love them so much.
It's just amazing. We're all
Yeah.
growing and learning and doing amazing things. All right, back to topic here. I want to ask you advice for somebody coming in. Any regrets or anything where platforms or point of sale systems, that kind of thing? You've been through a couple of different, you've used several different platforms. Um, Anything that you would, any advice on that for somebody? Any mistakes you made? Any like, oh, I thought this was the new shiny thing, and oof, it was definitely not.
Oh, yeah, this is a mistake keep making over and over again, but not with the consignment software. So originally we had consignment software that was recommended to me. I don't know why it was recommended to me. It was horrible.
It
It
was
was
probably from
absolutely
it was probably from her hairstylist or her grocery bagger because she didn't have a community of resellers
'cause I
back
didn't know, like, there was nobody to ask.
right.
So I had this software and it literally almost broke the business. Like it would just go down all the time. It was horrible. So then I learned my lesson and I thought, all right, well, I only like to shop with people that provide exceptional customer service. And that was like number one was like, I need somebody that's going to be there when I'm standing in front of a customer and the system doesn't work or the system goes down and can and walk me through it and is willing to do all that. So I'm going to use the names of the software. So transition to Simple Consign, which was absolutely one of the best things I ever did. The business all of a sudden started running smoothly. They were there to hold my hand and do all the things. They have wonderful customer service. And wonderful support, and it just made everything so much better. I can't even it was like night and day. And then, quite a few years later, we moved to Consign Cloud, which we have a lot of videos. We have videos linked up because they were more suited to my online business. They do a lot of brick and mortars as well, but there were certain things I needed that they provided at a more affordable cost. And they've also been absolutely responsive, amazing. And even though I'm not in front of a customer, they provide that amazing customer service. So I would say definitely research, know who's providing your software. I can't say it enough, and be comfortable with them and know that they're going to support you because it is such a important part of tracking, of bringing up sales, of dealing with customers, of allowing consigners to access their accounts, of having a website. It's the backbone of everything, a good system. And if I was with that original one, oh Lord.
Ooh, you'd probably be working at CVS by now. No, throwing some out there.
Yes, I would definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even exaggerating when I say that almost broke the business. We couldn't function. Some things you don't really think about, like that was kind of like an after, oh, well, I need a point of sale system. Guys, it's a really big deal. It's probably the biggest deal. It's more important than how your, storefront looks. It's probably the most important thing to keep things running and to keep you sane. Yeah. But check out Consign Cloud. We just love them. And
Good.
thank you, Consign Cloud, for just, keeping us running and always being there to support. I just appreciate it more than you guys know. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. Online storefront, somebody's trying to decide how to start their business. I know I'm kind of going back and forth. If you were to start all over today, like take the 13 years away
Mm-hmm.
and you were to start fresh, a
Mm.
fresh new business, how would you start that? What would you start? Online, storefront, hybrid?
I'd go all online. I love the online. That is very suited to me. Yeah, even though I don't have the biggest sticking point with the storefront, I thought at the time was that it took me away from my kids, and um, it just didn't flow well with my family life.
Right.
I made it work. It was good, but they had their setup in the back for on their sick days. There was a recliner back there and a
Yes, there
TV
was.
and a dollhouse.
Yep. I was about to say in a dollhouse and a few other little toys for them.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was so I would be all online. I would feel legitimate about it, and I would just, blaze forward like that.
Yeah.
Yes, Samantha, I used your blaze word.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, ooh.
Thinking
So,
about you.
any regrets, any amazing things or bad things you did as far as relationship building with your consigners and customers?
Well, I really should have read I wish I would have read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People before doing anything in my life. Actually, it would have been amazing to know that and to have these skills and strategies, because I've made so many mistakes. I had never really worked retail before. The closest I'd been was a bartender, which is totally different, but that's the closest I'd ever been to that. And um oh, just so much that I didn't know about how to deal with people, and how to you taught me one thing is like, own it when you make a mistake. Don't try to like cover it up, which that was a little bit hard for me. Now I'm owning all my mistakes. Look at me now.
Like, I'm a big old mess, and that's just who I am.
That was a lesson I definitely learned, and didn't really know going in. And I guess some of that is coming from like a corporate project management kind of thing, where you not that you have to cover it up, but like you don't want to broadcast it and like
Right,
really own it.
right.
Like it's just not, the structure is not set up that way in that kind of position. So really like embracing that was something I wish I would have known early on. And how to be more confident and deal with people in a very matter of fact kind of way. And not caring if people liked me or didn't like me. Like I was there to run a business. And if you're my people, you're my people. If you want to do business with us, great. If you don't, that's okay. We're not for everybody. And
Right.
I think having that mindset would have served me really, really well in the beginning.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think of us back in the beginning in the storefront. We were both kind of, baby deer out there trying
Yeah,
to, and you did want everybody to love you. We wanted
sure.
everybody to love what we did, and feelings would get hurt. And,
Hmm.
I remember taking things very personally if they didn't like something, or
Hmm.
you got to get over that. You're
Hmm.
never going to keep everybody happy. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't like something about what you're doing. As long as you know why you're doing it and you're doing it for all the right reasons, whatever it is in your business, you stand behind that. Stand
Yeah,
behind it. So,
yeah. And the one thing I'd be remiss not to mention about the storefront is the nightmare of a lease situation, landlady situation I had. Um, and just really evaluating that it was, attached to, it was its own, structure, but it was attached to a house and her daughter lived in it. And they were very good friends with the police department. Like there was a lot of like community ties there, and I could not really get the support, and things went on that really shouldn't have gone on that were very damaging to my business. So I think really knowing what that relationship is going to be, it can be a great one, or it can
Right.
be a really horrible one. In my case, it was really horrible, but there were signs there from the beginning. Like I didn't know what I didn't know, right? Thought I
Right.
had a lease. This is my, you know, building. Like there, I mean, they did things that weren't within their rights to do, of course, and were very disruptive to the business at
Yeah.
points. I knew about the, relationship with the cops, and, you know, that
Not
shouldn't
making
factor in
decisions, but
when you
right.
have an agreement, but you know what? That's life. It does factor in, and it really was really very detrimental. And I was naive and thought because I had the lease and because everything was in writing and everything was on the up and up, that that's how the business was going to be conducted. And that was not the case. So I should have had more street smarts, I guess, and just realized that that was going to be a very rough
Yeah.
situation from the beginning and walked away. But you don't know what
And
you don't
that's
know.
a hard
Mm,
thing to know. I mean, that when you're new to
yeah.
any business, that's a hard thing to know without it. That is one that's hard to know without learning the hard way,
Yeah.
you know? That's a difficult one to yeah, I think we go back to the red flags, y'all. If you or what I always drilled into my son's mind from itty bitty, if you are somewhere and something is going on that makes your stomach, or I would say makes your tummy feel yucky, you need to get somewhere else, like change your situation, get out of that spot,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So we call it red flags when we talk on all of our episodes. Consigners have red flags, and but that same goes for anybody that you're about to go into a business agreement with. If there are red flags, stop,
Yeah.
take pause, and really process those red flags, because those instincts are there for a reason in you, and you need to listen to them.
Hmm.
I know it's hard because you're excited because you're going into this new venture and you just want it to happen. Like you just want it. You want to do it. You have this dream. You have this vision that you're going to jump into, and you don't want anything stopping that. And so, because of that excitement and that rush of adrenaline that you're doing this big thing in your life, it's that much more tempting to push those little, oh, that's
Hmm.
just, oh, that's just, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But in the end, y'all, it can add up to be a very big deal. So just take note of those moments, those red flags, those yucky tummy feelings, and consider them. Maybe if you have a significant other or somebody role model to talk that through, or come talk to us. We'll talk to you about it. But definitely pay attention to those
Yeah. See, that would have been a great thing to have another somebody along with me and not doing it like totally solo
by yourself.
and
Right. Right.
figuring it all out. Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
All right. So I was going to end this episode with asking you the biggest mistake, but you may have already done that, like in all of that you did. I mean, I'm going with the lease at this point because you just bringing up is bringing back all these horrific memories of things like that. But do you have any other like big mistakes you want to put out there for people? Like I would not do this again, and then ending it with maybe your biggest success or your biggest, this is why to do this.
hmm. Biggest mistake, the biggest overall mistake. Oh my gosh.
It was hiring Molly.
I think I think the same goes for my personal life and my business life is not having a vision and not being confident in my abilities and what I wanted out of the business, what I wanted out of my life, and just kind of taking what came along. So I have to say it's the same business, personal, like biggest mistake of the last, 20 years of my life. Um, and thinking what other people wanted was more important than what I wanted.
Yeah.
Business, personal, like same. Um, I think you have to be strong to be in business. To live a life, you have to be strong, right? But to be
Mm,
in business, I think you need that. I think you need that strength in order to do it successfully. And, maybe you'll learn it by fire like I did. But just to have that, just not having that confidence going in and just
yeah,
taking, so and so's advice, they think you should do it this way. Oh yeah, I'll try it that way. Or, trying to make people happy, definitely falls into that same category. Yeah. So
I
yeah,
like that. I like that. Very good.
that's that's the big advice.
Well, I am hoping that people watch this, and especially people who are thinking about it, yeah, and feel good, maybe learn some new things, even if they
Yeah.
still plan on learning the hard way, at least now they've got it.
At least there's something in your head that, you've heard somebody talk about it, right? You're like, "Oh,
Right.
yeah, I see. Okay." I've
Alright,
heard somebody
oh,
mention
fun.
that before.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and the biggest success is, I'm gonna say the flip side of that is developing the confidence of, being able to say what I want and, stick with the rules and stick with my rules and be able to
the
have
way you said that,
mentors and coaches. Hmm?
does that mean you're not sticking with anybody else's rules the way you said
Pretty
sticking with
much.
my
Yeah,
rules,
pretty
not
much.
yours?
Mine. Um, yeah, and just being able to, have the knowledge to know whose advice, like who is a good coach and a good mentor, and know whose advice you really shouldn't even be listening to, or whose commentary you shouldn't be listening to. I think that is the biggest success. Is I feel like I've made some huge strides in that, and I think it would benefit anybody to just, get your head on straight
Yeah.
and then worry about the business. Yeah.
And as you go out looking for a community of support for this kind of thing, I've got our scroll going across about our Patreon, but maybe we're not the right fit for you. But we also did an episode about making sure that you know who it is, like Libby was just saying, that you take your advice from, because that is so important. And I don't just mean don't take it from the lady in the produce department. I'm not talking, I mean, people in the industry, you still need to do your research on them, figure out exactly who they are, take a peek at their stores, make sure that get on their business pages and see what they post, and make sure that their values and where they are and who they are align with yours, because that's really what you want. There are many people out there who do all of this and do YouTube videos and do this, that, and the other, that really don't do the selling process or don't do another aspect of it. And
Mhm.
it's just important to do your due diligence, get in there and make sure that you find the right people,
Because
even if
we
it's
want you to succeed.
we
Like,
do.
there's nothing more exciting than somebody in our meeting that we get to cheer for, or somebody in our community that does something amazing or is proud of just something. Could be a
Well,
small win, but you know what? We want to see you succeed, and we want to celebrate those wins with you so much.
so much so, this is so ingrained in who Libby and Samantha and I are, that I have to throw this out there, that even in one of our Motivation in Minutes meetings, one of our C chatters, one of our Patreon members mentioned the fact that they absolutely love that everybody that's a part of our group truly wants to see the rest succeed. So it's not just us saying it. Like, I love when that was said, that everybody that we work with, they know that it is 100% in our hearts. Like, this is an absolute no compete. We really want to see everybody succeed. And to have somebody say that outside of us, and all the agreements and nodding heads that people believed in it. Yeah, I loved it. I'm like, see,
That
they
was
get it.
beautiful when it happened. I'm glad you brought it up again
Yeah,
because I didn't think about it after the fact,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm glad I had the opportunity to now. That was really
yeah,
special.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna end on that note. That's it. We're done. Peace
I'm not
out.
even interrupting. It's so good.
I know. I know. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us again. Please make sure to comment, like, subscribe. If you have any other advice you put out there, feel free to put it in the comments. We'll see if we agree or not. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So until next time,
Cheers.
cheers.
Thank you for joining Libby, Molly, and Samantha, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we grow your reselling business. For all things Consignment Chats, visit us at consignmentchats.com and join our free private communities on Facebook and or Patreon.